I had to describe all of the same experiences I described in the stories and more. Came clean with her. She just stood there, listening. After all was said, she said it was okay. We talked for hours that day. When we went back to university, the next day we started going to church. Fast forward to today. Still with girlfriend. Live in hometown with her. Go to Catholic church every Sunday. The nightmares didn't stop, but slowed down a lot. Overall, I'm happy. There are things out there anons. Things we better not mess with. Things from other planes of existence. Stay away from them. I want to thank Keek and all of you for the opportunity of telling these stories. Stay safe, and God bless you. "12 years ago, I finally got my first car. 3 of my best friends used to live with me in a house. Sarah, Felicia, and James. We were all studying at the same university, except for James, who had just entered the army, and we rented a house together. The city that the university was in had about 80,000 people. It wasn't a big city by any stretch of the imagination. One day, we had this big week off. James also got a week off from work. Felicia suggested we would go to one of her dad's houses. She said that there is this place, with lots of waterfalls, and a huge house where Dad used to go to spend the weekends. Even though there was about 12 years that she wouldn't go there with her family. Her dad went to our house a day later. He allowed us to go there, but asked for us to take care, and lock everything up at night. We questioned him why. He said that at night, animals would roam the streets, and weird things would happen. James then asked, "Weird things?" He answered, "Yes, like noises, drunk people, and stuff like that. That's why I stopped going there." He also warned us to take care on the road leading there, and don't stop as we could get robbed. We agreed to take care. Next morning we got in my new car. It was a Fiat Uno, it was used, and the original owner installed a turbo compressor in it. We went through the highway. At dawn we got the exit for a small town. From the town we got another exit. We were now in a narrow dirt road, now at night. I started to get a bit drowsy. I stopped the car, and changed places with Sarah. I was now at the passenger seat, and my friend was driving. The dirt road was surrounded by woods on both sides. Suddenly, we see 3 black shadows inside the woods. We slowed down a bit, as they looked like people running alongside in the woods. As we pointed our flashlights to them, we noticed the lights wouldn't illuminate them. "What the fuck?" Sarah whispered. James pointed his gun at the shadows from the back window. "Stop." They kept walking, as if nothing had happened. My heart sank in, as I realized that situation was not normal. Sarah realized that too, because when I looked at her, she was wide-eyed, looking at the shadows. She finally floored it. The old Fiat Uno accelerated in the dirt road, passing the shadows. A bit ahead of the shadows, I saw a small cross at the side of the road. I could swear I saw another shadow there, this time bigger, but without the human look. It was like a big black blob, or someone very tall standing with a black sheet on the head. Thankfully we were very fast, so whatever it was, got behind very quickly. After some more time in the road, we finally found the village we were looking for. The buildings were very old, some of them being completely destroyed by time. Some of them had people living at it, as we could see some lights at the windows. We found the house of Felicia's dad. It wasn't hard to find at all, as the village was really small. It was an old house, surrounded by tall grass, and the woods began right on its backyard. We parked the car outside, and got inside the old house. The house was big. At the entrance, a big living room, leading to a kitchen and a corridor. At the sides of the corridor, 2 big rooms and a bathroom at the end of it. The furniture was old and dusty, a small very old television was at the living room. Some stairs would lead to the second floor, that had a big bedroom and a bathroom. We decided that Felicia would get the bigger bedroom at the second floor, Sarah would sleep with me on the bedroom that had a bathroom and 2 beds, and James would sleep alone in the other room. As we were very freaked out by what we had seen on the road, we left most of the lights on, and all the windows closed. We were tired enough by the trip, so we slept very fast. Next morning, I woke up. Sarah wasn't at the bed anymore. I looked at the clock and it was 8 a.m. already. After brushing my teeth and changing, I went to the kitchen. Everyone was there, having breakfast. Sarah then asked, "So, are we going to the waterfalls today, people?" We all agreed in a chair. Then someone starts knocking at the door. Felicia stood up and went to check. I followed her. As we opened the door, there was this medium-sized dude, with grayish hair. "Hello, I'm the town police." He explained to us that the city was really small, and that people weren't used to visitors. He asked us what we were doing there. We explained him what we were thinking about doing. He accepted it, and dismissed himself with a stay out of trouble line. Later, we all got in the car, and started driving in the direction of the waterfalls. Again, the road was really bad. The car almost got stuck on the dirt road almost 2 times. Felicia said we were close, so we parked the car at the side of the road, and kept going by foot. We finally found a waterfall. It was beautiful, and was littered with yellowish stones on the sides. We set our stuff up near the waterfall, and went swimming. The first hours it was very fun. When it was about 2 p.m., we all got out of the water. I was feeling very unwell all of a sudden, as if we were being watched. As the vibes from the others were good, I kept that to myself. Felicia then said, "Guys, I have never been there, but I remember my dad saying that there was another waterfall forward on the road." James then said, "Well, we could go there, but I don't think the car would manage to get us there." "How far is it from this waterfall?" Felicia replied, "I don't know, I'm not sure." We all agreed to get back to the car, and try to go through the road again. We finally got to the car, and this time, I was driving. I accelerated through the road, passing fast by places that as we were going, we then saw a big clearing of the trees at the side of the road. As we approached it, I slowed down a bit. There was a big building, with deteriorated white painting on the exterior. I later recognized it as a church. On top of the main tower of the church, an old cross was resting there. At the side of the building, there were some metal fences surrounding an area close to the church. "Wow, that's amazing," said James. The walls were in very bad shape, and some vines were scaling from one of the sides of the church. "That, inside the fence, that's probably a cemetery," said Sarah. We stood there for some time, admiring the old church. Then Felicia said, "Anon, it's almost 5 p.m. now. We have been driving for some time now. I think we should go back, and come to the waterfall tomorrow morning." Everyone agreed. I used part of the clearing to turn the vehicle around and we headed home. As we arrived, it was dark already, around 7 p.m. We all had a shower, and ate something. James was messing with the old television as we're eating, and he finally managed to make it turn on a channel. We stayed at the living room the rest of the day, watching TV. We later went to sleep. At the middle of the night, I woke up. We kept the inside glass windows closed because of the mosquitoes, but keep the outside wooden windows open. The moon was bright that night, so I could see light coming from it. When I finally opened my eyes, I felt that something was off. First, came some weird smell, like a moldy thing. I didn't freak out too much, because the house was old, even though I wasn't smelling that before. After some time laying down I realized there was no light coming from the window. I freaked out and sat on the bed quickly. As I sat, whatever was blocking the light just went away. I heard something messing at the grass outside, going away. The window was big, something like more than a meter long. I started thinking that it could be a creep watching us from outside. I then stood up. It was 3 a.m. I decided I was going to wake James up, so we could figure out what to do. As soon as I opened the door from my room, I looked at the end of the dark corridor, straight to the living room. Everything was dark, as we kept the windows from the living room closed. Suddenly, I hear the old TV turning on. The TV was not tuned, so all I heard was static. I started walking slowly in the direction of the living room, now lit by the dimmed light of the TV. As I was about to enter the living room, the television started to scan across the channels. That's when I heard it. From the television, in the midst of the static, a voice said, "Anon." I froze. I then started hearing whispers coming from the living room. Strange, grave whispers, speaking something I couldn't nor wanted to figure out. "Anon," the TV said again. I screamed and bolted into my room. I closed the door behind me with a bang. Sarah jumped up with the noise. We turned the lights on, and soon we heard steps coming running from the stairs, and the door next to us opening. Our door then opened. It was James, followed right by Felicia. They asked what happened. I explained to them what I had just seen. "Anon, maybe you are still a bit freaked out from the experience last night," said James. I then said, "Dude, I know what I saw, the television, it." Felicia interrupted me. "It's an old house, Anon, the wires must be beyond repair." We stood talking for a bit. Sarah remained quiet the whole time. As I forced myself to accept what happened, they came back to their rooms. I closed the door again, and this time, closed the window. Then I hear Sarah crying in her bed. I then asked, "Sarah, what's the matter?" She replied, "Nothing, Anon." I kept asking her, until she finally said, "I believe you, Anon. I was awake as you stood up, and I heard the TV going on when you were still at the door. The worst part is that I turned the TV off myself. I pulled the cord out from the socket." My heart sank in. I just laid in my bed, and watched her until she finally slept. I then managed to get some sleep at around 6 a.m. Around 9 a.m., Felicia was calling us to wake up. Me and Sarah went to the kitchen, where they were. They were talking about going to the next waterfall, but I only wanted to go back home. I kept it to myself though, as I didn't want it to ruin things for them. Sarah, however, made it very clear that she didn't want it to go. I assured her that everything would be fine, and she accepted. James was driving this time, and I ended up sleeping the whole way on the back seat. At about 11 a.m., I woke up with Felicia calling me. We got out of the car. In front of us there was this big waterfall. The water would go down, and the wind would hit it, transforming it into a mist. A huge lake, with crystalline water was where the water would fall, surrounded by the woods. The water was so clear we could see old logs in the lake, along with small fish. We spent about 4 hours enjoying the place. We even started a fire and barbecued some meat. Then it was finally time to go back, as we didn't want to travel at night. We all got in the car, and James was the driver again. We were going back through the road, and were now passing by the old church. James then stopped the car in front of it. He then said, "Hey, you know what would be really cool? We could come here tonight and make like a paranormal investigation with our cameras."